Welcome everyone and a happy new year, first of all. And welcome back to the Know It All podcast series, your career cheat sheet, where we bring on guests from various industries who help us while sharing their success stories, their experiences they gained during their job search journeys. And this is firstly focused for international students, early career professionals, so that they can know more about how to get into their dream job. And without further ado, I'd like to get into the main content, which is our call today with Rahul here, who has taken his time off on a Saturday to come here and
Yeah,
talk to us. So, yes, over to you, Rahul. Why don't you introduce yourself to us? And then I have some amazing questions for you.
absolutely. So, hello, folks. My name is Rahul. I work as an enterprise account development executive at OpenText. One funny thing, I got in touch with Sachin through one of the networking events. So, I'm that kind of a person who attends a lot of networking events, try to keep myself out of my comfort zone because I think Mondays to Fridays is where you typically work on
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do in your life, but Saturdays and Sundays where you work on what you want to get the best out of your life. So, I guess that was one of the event wherein I connected with Sachin and here I am today. So my work in OpenText is basically generalized as tech sales. So I
Mhm.
deal with enterprise clients whose annual revenue is more than $1 billion. And my main role is to break doors between enterprises. So let's say that I'm working from OpenText. I
Mhm.
have to make sure that, let's say, a company named PepsiCo. So I have to
Mhm.
get in touch with the CIO in order to sell my IT solutions to them. My
Got it.
like let's say that they have certain IT infrastructure and wherein we help with their integrations, we help with their EDI, we help with supply chain optimization. So my main role is to open the doors and start these conversations. And yeah, sales is like uh, money is always good. So I'm kind of motivated by money every single day. And here I am today talking to you guys.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I obviously like it makes sense, right? When you're in sales, money is something that motivates you every day to keep on growing,
Absolutely.
which I love a lot about. So, but first of all, again, thank you for introducing yourself. But why don't we take one step back, maybe, right? And
Mhm.
why don't you tell us a bit about your background before coming to Canada, and then when did you come to Canada?
So um, I guess this is December. No, this is January. Oh, sorry, this
Jan,
is New
yeah.
Year. So I came to Canada in December 22.
Okay.
I mean, it exactly 2 years I completed till now. So my
Right.
first semester was online. So it started in
Hmm.
September. I was doing my post graduation in supply chain management from Humber College. So that's why I kind of have a leave I period wherein since it was online, I was working from India. I was studying from India.
Right.
I came in December. I did my post grad and completed in April 23.
Mhm.
May 23, I already had a job. So I started hunting for jobs in January 23 because I knew that
Mm.
I can't do it later on. And the extension would be I have to apply for my work permit and do
Right.
all these things. So Jan
Mhm.
23, I started applying. May 23, I already landed a job. And then after a few months, when I think that, okay, now it's time to, push out of my comfort zone, I started working with OpenText. So in October 23, I started working. Right now,
Okay.
I completed almost like 15 months with OpenText, to be very
Mhm.
precise.
Nice. Awesome. So was the job that you got in May not with OpenText?
It was not with OpenText. It was with
I
a
see.
company called Netcore Cloud. So I was
Hmm.
working as a sales manager there. But
Awesome.
what I got to know is, which will help a lot of international students and those who are applying for PR, is the job that I was working for was a US based company and I was
Hmm.
getting paid in USD. So
I
in
see.
order for me to be qualified for PR, I need to be working with a Canadian based company, working like getting my salary in Canadian dollars. So
Hmm.
that's why I had to switch that job and then started working with OpenText since OpenText is a Waterloo-based company. Yeah.
Right. That's a very good point, right? Because I see a lot of international students when they like get a job, they just want to start working in whatever field they can, right? But long-term goal for I'm assuming most of the international students is to get a PR, right? So and you should
Right.
always know the eligibility criteria or the very basic eligibility points. Like you said, a Canadian-based company, you need to earn in Canadian dollars. So it's a very good point.
Absolutely.
I will ping this in the video then. But so I see you did supply chain management from Humber, right?
Mhm.
You did that as your postgrad. So then what sparked your interest to pivot towards tech sales specifically?
To pivot in sales.
Right. Yes.
Oh, that's a very interesting question that you've asked there. So, uh, all my life, I would say everyone out there are trying to sell themselves. Let's say you are
Sure.
selling yourself. I am selling myself
Yeah.
every single
Yeah.
day. So the strange story happened back in 2017 when I was
Mhm.
doing my when I was in my schooling, and then one of my friend's father was like, "You are a very extrovert person, so why don't you work for me?" So he
Right.
was selling life insurance corporation. Have you heard of LIC back in India?
Sure.
I
Yeah.
was selling policies back in India.
Okay.
And then when I graduated in 2019 as a mechanical engineer,
Mm.
I was intrigued towards sales too, but I kept my options open. I was a mechanical engineer back then, and then I was like,
Sure.
okay, cool. How about I give interviews to all the companies that are coming to the college? So I did
Mm.
give interviews, and one company in core mechanical was paying me somewhere around like 50,000 Indian
Mm.
rupees a month,
Right.
and the other company was paying me 1 lakh a month. I'm
Okay.
like, okay. So it might take a long time for me to reach my goals
Sure.
working through core mechanical company. How about I
Mm.
work in sales? So in 2019, I switched my gears and I started working in sales right after my graduation. And since then, there was no turning back. I was in
Mm.
sales for the past 5 to 6 years now, to be
Okay.
honest. And yeah, I'm loving every bit of it, I would say.
Awesome. And was it still tech sales back in India, or was it like more of a generic sales position?
It was a generic sale. So basically, I started with the edtech, educational
Okay.
technology. So I was selling
Sure.
to parents and
Hmm.
selling online courses, same like Byju's,
Okay.
if
Sure. Got
people
it.
want to
Yeah. Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
Then I started working into B2C,
Okay.
and then I started working in B2B. So it was a transition from retail sales to B2C to B2B, and now working with North American sales.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome. Nice. So I guess as like a lot of people say, right? Like you need to find what you love to do, and then that becomes your career eventually, right? So I guess sales
Exactly,
is something
exactly.
that you were always destined to be in, and then once you got a taste of it, you were like, okay, I need to learn more about this.
And
Awesome.
then eventually
Awesome.
you learn along the way. You don't learn
Sure.
anything at the very first instant, I would say.
Yeah.
I all my life, I would say, like there was one of the person who interviewed me for my very first sales role is he told me
Hmm.
this one quote. He
Hmm.
was like, Rahul, when you're getting into sales, don't just go with the motivation of earn, go
Hmm.
with the motivation of learn. It's LEARN. And
Sure.
once you learn, you remove the letter L and then you earn. So
Nice.
that's how I'm earning, I would say.
Nice. Nice. A lot of quotables in today's podcast. I'll have to write this down.
Absolutely, yes.
Awesome. No, no, that's really good. So, okay, so maybe let's talk a bit about your international student journey here, right? So, I see you came here in December 22. So, I would assume it's a 2 year course. So, you graduated sometime in 23, after a year and a half. No?
It was a 1 year course.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Oh,
I
wow. So
risked
then
my
you
life, I would say.
that's what my next point was going to be. So, like, you had to really get a job in the next 8 to 10 months for you to be here.
Absolutely, yes.
Nice, nice,
So
awesome.
I'll tell you a story. Do you want to ask the question or?
No, no, please go ahead. I'll continue.
So I came in December 22.
Hmm.
April 23, I graduated. So it was a 1+1 year course. In May, I applied for my work permit
Hmm.
and I got my work permit in October. So it
Okay.
was like a pretty intense
Sure.
time that Canadian
Hmm.
government took, which they
Yeah.
usually
Yeah.
take.
Yeah.
So, since I was working with a US based company, I had that period in my life wherein I could start interviewing for companies. And
Hmm.
October, my work permit came, the
Hmm.
official work permit. And October, I started working with OpenText. Now,
Yes.
everything was on point.
Right.
So, I had just 1 year in order to
Hmm.
do my best, in order
Hmm.
to give my IELTS, and in order to qualify for that CEC, Canadian Experience
Right.
Club.
Right. Yes.
I gave three IELTS exam. So I
Okay.
gave one IELTS twice. I gave IELTS twice. And then there was this one exam called PT core
Sure.
because I was not scoring enough. I was like
Right.
505, 506, but then I was not
Hmm.
going beyond 515. And I
Right.
wanted to reach that mark. So I gave
Hmm.
PT core and I reached that mark. Strange thing happened. October, I was completing my work permit, like my official work permit, and I was almost packing my bags to go back to India because there were no draws coming in. I was
Right.
like
Yes.
fucking tensed.
Right.
September, there was a draw that came in 51509, and as
Okay.
per the rules, uh, it goes by date. It doesn't go by date to date. It goes by month
Hmm.
to month. So
Okay.
I started my 12th month on September itself because I joined OpenText in 10th October. So 10th
Hmm.
September, 10th October, I started my 12th month
Okay.
eventually. And in
Hmm.
September, I got a draw. I got an ITA.
Wow.
So
Okay.
once I got an ITA, I knew that uh, there was a very edge. I was standing on the edge. So I kept all
Hmm.
my documents ready. So as soon as I got my
Right.
ITA, I submitted all my docs and filed for bridging open work permit. Now I am safe today.
Nice, nice. So was this like since we are talking about the PR process, right? Was this the ITA that you received? Was it like a STEM draw ITA or was it still in CC?
It is still in CEC. I do
Okay.
not qualify for STEM because that is something like you would qualify, right? Because
Yeah,
you're into
yeah.
core software. So I'm
I
into
see.
like
Okay, makes
sales,
sense.
generally. Yeah.
Makes sense. Got it, got it.
I
Awesome.
had to
So
really work a lot in order to score more in IELTS.
sure.
I knew what I had to go through for the past few, like last year, what I had to go through, like
Yeah, no.
continuous ads.
No, and for you, like it was very cut, like you were like literally chasing the deadlines, right? Like
Yes.
majority of my friends that I have like are doing a 2+3. So like they have a 2 year course,
Yeah.
they get a 3 year work permit. But even then the points that you get after like those 2 years of even working here, if you have a job, are not enough for the for you to qualify for a CEC,
Right.
right? So I know it's been crazy. The last year at least has been crazy with respect to draws. Hopefully it gets better this year.
This year, I hope, because a lot of my friends, like, we are all into this together, right? I
Yeah,
hope that
exactly.
if things have happened well with me in my life, I hope the same for them too. So that's why whoever I meet, like, let's say I just met a person today in the lift while coming back from the gym. I was
Right.
like, you do this, and then you don't
Right.
wait for the things to happen because you never know. Any rules might come up at any single
Exactly.
point in time. So you
Sure.
don't want to risk it.
Sure. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And I hope this podcast is more of a like a way to do that, right? Spread more word about
Absolutely, yeah.
different things. Awesome, awesome. But yes, coming back to the question I was about to ask, right? So when you were an international student, like were you working part time? Like I know you already work back home, so I'm assuming you had some savings to already, apply here while you were studying. So how was that situation? How were you managing your academics and your expenses?
I'll tell you. I was working with Tim Hortons.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I wouldn't say one of the worst jobs, but I would say
Mhm.
one of the most hectic jobs ever I had in my life.
Right.
So, but yeah, I learned a lot. So as soon as I was working. I was doing two jobs. I was also
Hmm.
working part time for my company back in India. They were
Okay.
paying me in USD on a contractual basis, so that was
Nice.
good. That was
Nice.
working from home. But then I was still limited to sitting at home. Right, I was
Right.
not
Yeah.
going out because my
Yes.
college was also online, so I was not actually going out and meeting professors and meeting my
Right.
students.
Hmm.
So, you know what I decided? Okay, I might as well get acclimatized to Canadian government, so Canadian
Yes.
people, Canadian culture.
Culture.
So I
Yeah.
decided,
Yeah.
okay, Tim Hortons was right after my house, like at the corner. And
Right.
I was like, okay, cool, I might as well just work there. So I was
Right.
working there for almost like 2 months, and wherein I decided, okay, I can't do two jobs and then
Yeah.
study at the same time. I have to give up something. So I gave
Sure.
up my Tim Horton job. It was very tedious and I was not able to work on my skills, my LinkedIn, and a
Hmm.
lot of other things simultaneously because in order for you to get a high paying job, you need to have those high paying skills. And I was
Exactly.
lacking there. So I
Hmm.
decided, okay, I'll take a risk. I'll not work at Tim Hortons. I'll probably
Hmm.
manage my expenses in such a way that I'll only focus on myself. And then after my graduation, I'll probably get a high paying job somewhere else. So that's how
Exactly.
it.
Makes sense. That's a very good point. Even like just to track back, right? So even I remember those days I was working like two jobs, as you said. I was working in Walmart shipping warehouse. So like you have your retail Walmart where you shop, but then there's a
Mhm.
separate warehouse. Like it's a huge, like you have heard about Amazon warehouses, right? So
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah,
was very much similar. Walmart apparently also has a warehouse. So I was working there. It was, as you said, quite hectic, but honestly, and if you think now, like going back, if I were to go back, I would not be able to do that now, right? Because then
Correct,
you have now
correct.
acclimatized yourself to the work you're doing now, right? But then back when you were a student, you it was like a do or die for most of the students, right? Like you have to work your ass off to cover your expenses. But that's a very good point that you said, which is you need to prioritize what you want to focus on, right?
Correct.
Which is exactly the point where a lot of international students make mistake, is that they focus a lot on their part-time work. They try to get more hours, they try to get more money out of that, and they miss out on opportunities to learn, to network, to meet people, which might then transition into a very good paying job later on,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah.
So good point. Yeah.
I keep telling everyone the same thing as to risk in life, like all these businesses. If you see Apple, if you
Yeah.
see Amazon, if you see BMO, if you see OpenText, if you see all these big companies, the
Hmm.
founders take risks every single
Um,
day with their lives.
yeah. Very
How
true.
about we take a risk with our life?
Yeah.
Maybe like that's why I guess I'm talking to you now today, wherein I take a risk in my life, wherein I quit my Tim Horton job, and then I was only working on myself, my skills, and then networking with the right people. So it's all
Right.
about taking risks in life.
Makes sense. That's a very good point. Uh, if I were to track back a bit to your
Mhm.
job that you got either in May or with OpenText as well, right? How was your process? Like, what was your strategy applying to it? Like, I know you started pretty well in January, right? But what was your game plan, and how did you get to the OpenText job offer?
I'll tell you a very that was a one of the best techniques of my life which I used.
Nice.
So I would say when I graduated in April 23, May I got the job. And then after a few days, when I got to know that my immigration consultant told me that, oh, this job wouldn't qualify for CEC, you need to start
Right.
searching for something else. I
Mm-hmm.
started hunting for job back mid-May.
Mm-hmm.
When I started doing that, I reached a pivot in my life wherein I was like, nothing. I mean, I'm not getting any interviews. I'm not
Mm.
getting any interview calls because I was doing the conventional sales method, applying to
Okay.
jobs,
Yep.
waiting to hear back from the recruiter. That's not how it goes. So I reached depression in my life wherein in June I was like, shit, I'm not getting anything. I should
Right.
have taken a 2 year course. Now I've taken a one
Yeah.
course. I'm not getting anything.
Right.
Then in July, August, I switched my gears a bit. I
Hmm.
started networking with people on LinkedIn. I
Right.
started having coffee chats. I started learning all the skills. I
Hmm.
started asking people to refer me for the role, not directly, after having a few chats with them, because
Got it.
then they get to know that what I bring onto the table and will
Sure.
it make sense for them to refer me. So then I started doing that. A certain point came in my life wherein I was like, okay, I was very, uh, I had a clarity as to what I want. So
Hmm.
I made a list of top 50 companies in Toronto, Waterloo, Kitchener area. And then I was like,
Right.
okay, cool. Now start sending emails. So I started sending hyper personalized emails to
Hmm.
everyone,
I
to all
see.
the directors, to all the hiring managers, recruiting managers, like an elevator pitch as to what I bring onto the table.
Right.
To OpenText, I sent a very quirky email, which I'll just tell
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
My subject line started with never too late to start something new,
Hmm.
comma, with a person's name. Let's say that you are Sachin, you are the director of IT at OpenText. I would say, like,
Hmm.
never too late to start something new, Sachin.
Right.
Then my body sounded like, yeah, you heard that right. Wanna roll the dice.
I
Then I
see.
gave my elevator pitch. I did not start my email that, hi, Sachin, I hope you're doing
Right.
well.
Right.
No
Right.
one's gonna read that.
Sure.
So I kept it in such a way that people would want to read my email, and I sent it a
Nice.
video of me showcasing what I would bring onto the table. So I kept the sweet
Hmm.
spot between 30 to 45 seconds. My video was like
Right.
44 seconds. Then sent it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I sent it to 50 directors, hiring managers, recruiters of OpenText, and 13 of them responded to me, and they
Wow.
redirected me to HR, and the
Hmm.
HR was literally forced to give me a call,
Right.
and that's how I got my job in OpenText, I would say.
Nice. Nice. That's a pretty cool technique. Like I haven't heard people doing that, like sending very like hyper personalized emails, or
Holdings,
even
yeah.
even the video thing, right? Like I completely understand how powerful that is, because obviously not a lot of I haven't seen even like 5% of people do that, right? I
Yeah.
still remember the very first video based content I put out on LinkedIn was a video resume, and I did
Mhm.
that only because it was part of one of my courses back in Hamburg. Okay, so
Oh,
that
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
pushed me to do that, and after that, since then, I've done a lot of like LinkedIn. I've worked on my personal brand. I
Hmm.
wrote a lot of blogs on Medium, right? But I did not create any video based content as such, right? And very similar to how we met at one of Ritika's events, I was at another, I think they called it the International Student Meetup somewhere in downtown Toronto,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So I was at one of those events and I met a very, very amazing lady there who she was already on a podcast as well. Palak, that's her name. So we
Oh,
talked.
correct.
Yeah, and she does like a video based content for her field and a bit for Redefined as well. So that's where we
Oh, wow.
got into talking, and she was like, "Why not just start doing that, right?" Like because I asked her like,
Mhm.
I want to get into video based content. I have certain ideas as well, but I don't really know where to start or how to start it, right? And she was like, just like put out one video, right, and see what works for you, and you can always like make it better, right?
Mhm.
And one thing that she said is that no one really cares unless as much as you do, right?
Right.
So you need to make sure and like believe in yourself that okay, the content I'm putting out is for these specific reasons, and I'm
Mhm.
doing it to make myself better or make my brand
Better.
grow
Right.
more, right? So that is where this all started. And that has like made literally a lot more. I would say that has created very, I would say maybe 45% more engagement than your text-based content, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I definitely should push this more on people I talk to, that video-based content is really a way to go, right?
Because then you connect with people, right? Because
Hmm.
let's say that you are reading a book,
Hmm.
but if you see the content of the book on a video, wherein there are
Right.
visuals involved, there are hand gestures involved, facial
Hmm.
expressions involved, you connect well with the video.
Makes
So I
sense.
guess I'm not sure if you've seen that video Drishyam, wherein
I
that
have.
Ajay Devgn says 2nd October, 5th October. People
Right. Right.
connect with it. So
Yeah.
that's how you want to connect. And I guess Palak, are you talking about a Palak Bambri or
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
I've seen her content as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a very good idea. And I have certain things down in my line wherein in 2025 I have to focus on a certain things wherein you're already doing great with the podcasting thing,
Yep.
sharing experiences, learning through people, and then
Yeah.
showcasing it on LinkedIn wherein people will learn as well. So that is actually good. So I might
Exactly.
as well do something not similar, but something on the other lines too. But yeah, this video
Nice.
prospecting is really good, I would say.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that really sounds interesting. Okay, so maybe how about you share a bit on how does your day look like? Like at OpenText when you join in, let's say at 9 o'clock, then what's your day look like, and what are certain things that goes on in your day?
So I start my day very early. So my office is from 8:30 to 5. I have a hybrid schedule wherein 2 days I work from home, 3 days I work from office.
Okay.
But as soon as I go in at around 8, 8:15, and then I
Mhm.
try to take a step back wherein I realize as to what do I want to achieve today? I make a note of
Mhm.
it. Okay, let's say
Okay.
that I want to book a couple of meetings, I want to respond to a couple of emails, or I want to work on
Hmm.
a campaign that I want to do. I make a note of it, probably sip a cup of coffee because I need that coffee in the morning.
Right.
Then once I log in, maybe around 8:30, when all my team
Hmm.
comes in, we have a stand-up call when we
Sure.
strategize as to what we are doing today. After that, I start responding to emails because a lot of emails sometimes get like the other day I have a very hectic schedule, right? So I can't respond to
Right.
emails then
Hmm.
after 6 o'clock. So I respond to emails, talk with my
Hmm.
account executive. So I work with my AEs who are in the US. So I
Okay.
work out of four regions in the US, which is Michigan, Indiana, Iowa, and Ohio.
Okay.
So I have my AEs in all the regions there. So
Hmm.
let's say I book a meeting with one of the Michigan-based companies. So I
Hmm.
do the first discovery call with the prospect with my AE. And then if the deal progresses, the AE can then go down to the prospect's headquarters and then probably close the deal. So that's how it goes. So then we
Hmm.
strategize on what to sell, what to
Hmm.
work on this account, and what insights do I have that I could share with my account executive, and then make sure that we are not only selling, but we are listening. Because in
Sure.
selling, it is more important to listen because you need to
Hmm.
understand the pain points of the prospect before you pitch in your solution. So then
Hmm.
I do that. So a constant coordination with my AEs, cold calling people, sending
Hmm.
email, might be templatized or hyper-personalized emails. It
Right.
might be working with the team. We have a lot of new joiners coming in 2025. So wherein
Nice.
I coach, mentor people as well, try to make
Hmm.
sure that their onboarding looks a pretty less hectic as mine. And yeah,
Exactly. That's very good.
these things.
That's a very good point towards the end because I remember when I joined BMO as a new grad. So I joined BMO as a new grad. The very first thing I told my manager was that the onboarding process was really good, but I have like 100 other things I can add to it to make it better, right? And
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
unfortunately, we didn't really have any new hires after that specifically in our team. But BMO
Mhm.
does a lot of work with interns and co-ops, right? So
Oh
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
work
Mhm.
I work very closely with the first year program team to try and contribute to make it better, right? Because when you go through that process, you know this is where I faced issues,
Yeah.
right? So you know that this is where I can make it better.
Hmm.
Uh,
And once you go
Amazing.
on the floor, like once that training is done, once you go on the floor,
Hmm.
you actually get confused. Okay, what should I do? Should I send emails? Should I do cold calls? Should I connect with my ears? Should I do this? Should
Right.
I do that? So since I have been into that process wherein I was able to
Hmm.
hit like 200% of my targets on the very first quarter that I came into OpenText,
Wow.
I was like,
Hmm.
okay, now I know what to do. I'm not like saying onboarding is really bad. Onboarding is good, but
Hmm.
then it's completely different as to you land on the floor with the team,
I see.
with the
Hmm.
A's, doing all these things. So I was able
Hmm.
to help my team simultaneously while doing my current day job.
One good thing that I heard when you were mentioning about your day is about mentoring other
Mhm.
newcomers, right? So how has that been for you specifically? Like, have you had any mentors during your journey as an international student or when you were pivoting to OpenText, and how has that worked out for you?
I would say I've had a lot of mentors in my life because
Mhm.
you grow by keeping yourself in a loop where there is constant growing happening.
Right.
So there is this famous quote by a guy, I don't know that name of the person. You're
Hmm.
the average of five people you spend your time with.
Interesting.
So just open your phone. Like let's say that we will do a task wherein I want you to open your call logs and then see
Hmm.
how many people are there in your dialer list, in your
Right.
contact list. So
Right.
you're the average of the five people around you. So
Interesting.
then, during my time of me getting a job into OpenText,
Hmm.
I'm very fortunate to have like very, very great mentors. So in
Hmm.
my present role in my company, Netcore Cloud, I had a very good mentor named Kalpesh Konsavlikar. So he
Uh-huh.
was constantly motivating me to do things out of the box. So I would say a lot of great mentors, and
Hmm.
because they reach at a certain position in their life after learning something from their peers, right? So they
Exactly.
are then doing the same thing with us. And until unless you don't go and learn from people's experiences
Hmm.
and your experiences as well, you never actually grow in life. In
True.
life, it's all about, minus, like it's plus minus. You minus
Hmm.
something, add something, you minus something, you add something, and then you make a whole package. So I would
Right.
say very, very great mentors I had in my life. One of the very famous mentors that I have, it's not working with OpenText currently, but I'm still in good touch. It's
Hmm.
my ex-manager named Tai Shwar. I would
I
say
see.
today I'm talking to you is because of her, because I
Ah.
started my LinkedIn journey after
Hmm.
having a chat with her, wherein I faced a moment in my life wherein nothing was happening in my personal life. Few
Hmm.
things with her, and she was like, Rahul, you need to start filling your cup.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
that's how I started. She mentored me, she asked me to do these things, this, that, and bingo, here I am today talking to you.
Nice. Nice. Very, very, very well said. And that is actually the next thing that I wanted to come to, right? Like, when did you start your LinkedIn journey? And then I obviously know you've been doing really well. You've had, I think, 10K followers recently, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong.
11K now. Yeah, yeah.
11K now. Amazing, amazing. So how did that start? And then what motivates you to keep going or keep posting or keep your audience engaged with your content?
So when I hit that point in my life in March after having a discussion with my manager, I was like,
Hmm.
I started doing my content journey in April. So April, May is where I started doing, but I was just doing trial and error basis, like giving it a
Hmm.
try, see what's
Right.
working, see what's not working, see what I can share, see what I can not share. So it was
Hmm.
not picking up pace quite then last year in April 23. Then
Right.
in June, I actually understand, okay, cool. How about I start doing this? How about
Hmm.
start talking about mindset? How about I start talking about career coaching? How about I start
Right.
talking about professional development? That
Hmm.
actually made a lot of sense with all the international students, with my peers, with all my subordinates, and then
Right.
it started picking up pace. So right
Hmm.
now, I mean, when I started in June, after like 6 months, I started with almost like 3,500 followers already because I was
Okay.
working on LinkedIn back then too, but not
Sure.
posting regularly. In
Hmm.
June, when I started posting continuously, my impressions went up to like 1 million impressions.
Wow.
So I was like, and I reached almost like 52,000 new accounts, wherein I was at 10,000 new accounts. So I got to know that, okay, it's into five now. It's
Hmm.
reaching.
Hmm, hmm.
That
Right.
happened only when I was posting 5 days a week continuously, Monday,
I
Tuesday,
see.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Right.
So also now I'm doing some trial and error as to Monday. Okay, a lot of people are online on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It bit slowed down on LinkedIn. So I'm
Right.
trying to understand, okay, where the sweet spot wherein I could post and then the people could engage with my content. So I would say 6 months. In June 23, I started posting on LinkedIn.
Nice. Amazing. Amazing. And just to add one more thing to what you said, right? Like finding your niche obviously is very important, right? But then again, a lot of people might get confused with that, right? With respect to, for example, in my case, right? I started with my content, which was completely focused around core software development, right? So then
Right, I
again, I
remember
was
that.
I was reaching a lot of people. I was working in the same field, so I knew what was the issues that people usually face on daily basis, or if I worked on certain use case that I could not find online anywhere, right? So I post about that, I talk about that
Mhm.
and I was reaching a certain group of people, which was good enough. But then, if you take like a step back and if you see at the spectrum you have access to, right, you are leaving out a majority of the students who might not be from tech, but could still relate
Right,
to generic problems, right? And that's where this whole, I would say, mentoring or helping out or giving back to the community, specifically to international students, came to my mind as to yes, I will keep posting tech focused content, right? But I would pivot that to Medium more. Like I would write Medium
right.
blogs, I would create whatever use cases I want and then talk about it on LinkedIn. But my
Mhm.
majority of the focus should be around a broader pool of audience, right?
Mhm.
As you said,
Right, right.
mindset, normal problems that international students face. So that is what you and I and more of us can help bridge that gap with, right?
Right. I guess the same scenario happened with me in 2019 when I was like, okay, I'm stuck now. Should I go with mechanical or should I go with sales? So,
Hmm.
wherein if your content is not only on coding, but also on other general formats in life,
Right.
people would then realize, okay, cool. I guess this is also something that I could look at. Okay, how
Right.
about give this a try? How about talk to Sachin
Hmm.
and then get an
Yes.
idea as to who Sachin might have some friends or Sachin might know as to how to deal with this going forward.
Correct.
I might as well get in touch with Sachin. So, phenomenal, man. You're doing a great job, I would say.
Correct. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I guess we're almost towards the end. I just have maybe a couple of questions to close before
absolutely.
we close the call, right? So, and I love to ask this question to everyone. So, what advice do you have? Maybe let's say when you landed here, I think December 22, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
maybe something that you knew 2 years ago that would have really helped you a lot, or if you knew that, you would have it would have made your life easy.
Something that I knew back then, right? Or
Yes.
something that I want to give my advice to. Like,
Sure. As in, you learned in the last 2 years that if you
okay.
knew when you came here, that would have helped you a lot.
Maybe I would. Why didn't I take bigger risks in life?
Hmm.
That is one thing that I keep asking myself because I think I'm a bit late. People do tell me that, "Bhai, tu bahut
Hmm.
jaldi aa gaya. You are here very early." I'm like, no,
I
man. I'm,
see.
I'm just 26.
Right.
I'm earning quite well at six figures, but still, it's not enough. I
Right.
mean,
Exactly.
how about I would have had the six figures back in 24 when I was 24?
Hmm.
How about that?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
mean, I would have reached a certain point in my life wherein I would have had my own apartment here in Canada, my own
Right.
car, and do all these things.
Right.
But then everything happens for a reason, I would say. And
Exactly.
in life, it's all about taking risk. Like before coming here in Canada in 22, I
Hmm.
already, took an apartment back in India, a 3 BHK
Nice.
condo. And then like it was like a 65 lakhs apartment, 15 lakhs I did down payment, 50 lakhs loan was on me. Then I was like,
Hmm.
okay, now I can't sustain in a job wherein I'm getting paid like 1.5 lakhs a month because my
Right.
AMIs were going up to like 50,000. Oh shit. Then I
Right.
started thinking out of the box. Okay, I might as well go to Canada and then start earning more so that this
Hmm.
50,000 would be nothing to me.
Right.
So that's when I decided to come here. Now, I'm staying here in Canada, that 50,000, I've reduced it to 30,000 EMI because I've been paying a lot of principal amount.
Right.
But then I'm like, okay, cool. I can now reach a point in my life wherein I could make some more investments back in India, or I could
Hmm.
start saving up some money for my down payment here in Canada.
Right.
So I can do that because,
Hmm.
like I said, I did 1+1. I did not do 2+3.
Right.
Already
Right.
saved a lot of money, sent
Hmm.
back to India, and then I could save
Nice.
a lot of money, hence going forward, and then
Hmm.
putting up for a down payment. So yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to work with my life in a way that I get the best out of it.
Right. And I completely disagree with people that why are you here when they say like things like why are
Yeah.
you here so early or you're here so late. Well, it's more of a relative thing, right? Like as long
Yeah.
as you are happy with what you're doing in your life at the point that you're doing in your life, I think you should not just listen to anyone, right? And then also when you succeed too quickly, you are bound to fall quicker than you succeeded, right? So that slow growth graph is always the best
Best.
matrix,
Yes.
right?
I was hearing one of the podcast by this guy named Vicky Kaushal, like one of
Okay.
the Instagram reels, and I
Yeah.
was like, you always stay at the bottom of the mountain. Don't reach at the top
Hmm.
of the mountain. Always be the
Hmm.
underdog. Because
Okay.
then, if you don't reach the top of the mountain, you are always trying to make yourself better in order to reach there. Because once you reach
Right.
there, then you feel like, okay, you've achieved everything.
Hmm.
No, don't reach that.
Right.
Always make sure your goals are upgrading. Make sure
Hmm.
that, let's say that you are living in a one bedroom, you are try to stay into a 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. If you are
Right.
driving a hatchback, think
Hmm.
of driving an SUV, think of driving a Cadillac. So always
Right.
keep your goals higher, then you reach the higher. Always be the underdog in order to
Nice.
reach at the top.
Nice. Very well said. Very well said.
Uh,
Awesome. Maybe just one last question. So, very similar to the advice that you just shared. Maybe if you have anything for the international students who are already here, or maybe who are planning to come to Canada, right? Maybe who are planning to join sales in general or tech sales specifically. So maybe one thing for them to start with.
I would say one simple quote is start in advance.
Hmm.
People always think that once I do this, I will do that. Once I do
Right.
this, I will
Yes.
do that. No, don't
Hmm.
keep that opinion in mind. Always start things in advance. Like before
Hmm.
me coming to Canada as well, I was connecting with a lot of Humber professionals, the alumni, in order to
Okay.
see how did they transition from their uh, educational background to recently background like they are in today. So
Hmm.
always try to learn. First is start in advance. B,
Right.
I would say is always connect with people, network with the right set of people, because you never know, you always learn something or the other things from each and every person around you. And third is keep yourself in a group wherein you're constantly growing.
Hmm.
You probably would have friends who would be like,
Sure.
अरे मैं 80 घंटे के शिफ्ट मार रहा हूँ, अरे मैं
Right.
70 घंटे के शिफ्ट मार रहा हूँ.
Yes.
Okay, that's good, I respect their work. But
Yes.
then look at that person who is doing shifts but also
Hmm.
working simultaneously. He is doing some things, right? So how
Right.
about you do that? How about you learn that? So
Right.
just keep yourself prepared. And
Hmm.
one thing is stay away from social media as much as you can, mainly
Yes.
Instagram, because
Yes.
that really takes a lot of your time, I would say. So
Correct.
I what I did back then was, cut off. And then
Oh,
once I was able to, get at where I wanted to get, then I just kept it to like, set an alarm in my Instagram when I would just use it for 30 minutes a day, not more than
nice.
that.
Hmm.
So that eventually helped me too. Yeah.
Right. Right. So in all, focus is what is important,
Focus.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Right. Very, very well said.
Mhm.
But yeah, I guess it was this was amazing. Like I think one of the very I would say energetic podcasts we've had in a while.
Oh yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm definitely sure. And I am sure that a lot of international students would relate to all the generic things that you shared, right? And obviously, this will inspire a lot of people to join sales, as you said.
Yeah.
Even I might pivot to sales, you never know.
You might do it
No, but
someday, man. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
someday, not soon enough. But yes, thank you. Thank you again for coming on the
Absolutely.
podcast, Rahul. Any last things that you would like to share before we close the call?
I would say that thanks for having me, Sachin. To be very honest, there are very few folks out there who try to, give out their what they
Mm,
have learned. So you are
Yes.
one of the person who was doing it. Who are you doing it simultaneously while maintaining your day job? And
Yep.
before getting onto the call, what I heard is you're also a professor. I'm like,
Yes.
commendable thing that you're doing, man. And you're doing your day job. You're being a professor. Then you are, working on your LinkedIn, doing all this
Yes.
podcast on Saturdays and Sundays. You're keeping yourself so equipped, which
Yes.
marks like an ideal person wherein, okay, I want to look at Sachin and probably do like
Right.
him. And you're
Right.
you're giving that idol person to everyone out there. So I would say that you're doing a phenomenal job,
Thank you.
and I'm very humbled and grateful that you have considered me to be on your podcast today. So yeah, man.
No, no, it was a pleasure. I wanted to have you for a while, but then again, I know our schedules were very tight. In
Yeah,
fact, this was again a very last minute thing, right? So thank you for accepting that. And again, I hope to see you soon on the call, hopefully soon enough. But yeah, I
absolutely.
guess I guess this was a pretty good one. And thank you everyone else who was here, watched till the end. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Cool. Thank you so much, folks. See you.